Jihua, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Today I'm gonna share a topic of ocean alkalinity enhancement. This one is a hot topic now. Today I want to talk about the three aspects of the ocean alkalinity enhancement, about why OAE and how to do OAE and the OAE concerns. First of all, why OAE? According to my knowledge, OAE is coming from the requirement of carbon neutrality. As we all know, ocean holds the capacity for the carbon capture, which is one of the options for climate change mitigation. And we are all involved in the ocean negative carbon emission program, which is leading by Professor Zhang and GP. Okay, so ocean have to play a key role for the climate change at the same time with terrestrial carbon sequestration. And at the same time, if we can use the carbon sink, which can promoting the sustainable economic development. So that's why we focus on the ocean. And we all know ocean is the largest active carbon pool in the surface planet, which got a huge number of DLC, DOC, and got a big carbon flux. And the turnover time of the dissolved organic carbon is over 6,000 years in average. But how can we use the ocean for the carbon sequestration? There is a public, the ROC got a different kind of deployment of the carbon sequestration, just like the coastal blue carbon, macroalgae cultivation, the iron fertilization, and at the same time, they mentioned about the ocean alkalinity enhancement. Which means they got some kind of recognition internationally. And at the same time, so what is ocean alkalinity enhancement? It's not too complicated. It's just a chemical reaction, and which involves the addition of some kind of a liquid or solid alkaline material to the ocean, which potentially to be safely and effectively accelerate ocean's natural uptake of atmospheric CO2, and at the same time to weaken or mitigation the regional oceanification, by the balancing the local ocean chemistry. And I think why is the OAE is because the coincidence between the requirement and the potential of the climate change. If we want to achieve the Paris Agreement and the 2-degree target, we have to remove 1 to 15 gigatons CO2 per year in the future, and OAE can provide about 7 gigaton CO2 per year for OAE. And Jean-Pierre Gattuso, professor, going to be here, and he leading a publication of got the guide to best practice in OAE research. A lot of scientists care about this topic, for this year there are several the commercial organizations also focus on the OAE, just like Frontier. They got the $31 million carbon credit on August 26, and at the same time got another $32.1 million for the carbon credit at the May 1st this year too, which means there's a lot of commercial fundings invested in this topic. So how to do OAE? OAE it's coming from the enhanced weathering, just like the natural material weathering, which can release total alkalinity both inland and in the ocean. For the OEE is one of the geoengineering based on marine environment. For example, is crushing an artificial application of minerals. The aim is to accelerate the natural weathering process and thereby enhancing the buffering capacity of the ocean for the carbon sequestration. In the terrestrial, which called the enhanced weathering (EW) in the ocean, which short for the ocean for the OAE. And how to do ocean alkalinity enhancement? There's a lot of publication on this. As far as I know, there are three methods. First of all, we can use using the ship for the ship spreading of the alkaline materials, just like the limestone, the olivine, and the minerals like that from the ship. But it has to the particles of this kind of minerals has to be very fine to avoid directly sinking down to the bottom of the ocean. Because in this way, the effect of the OEE was being avoided. The second way is the alkaline factory. In this way, less energy was requirement for grading the process and the transportation cost using the ship compared to the open ocean application. And the third one is the beach erosion, which can use some to save a lot of energy, can use the current shear stress from the continental shelf, seabed, and wave actions in the coastal water. 2 years ago, Professor Nian Zhijiao and Cai Weijun has proposed the wastewater alkalinization using the wastewater treatment facility as an engineering equipment. First of all, leveraging the low pH and the high DSA wastewater to accelerate dissolution of the minerals, and at the same time, enhancing the regional seawater alkalinity by direct chiding to the seawater. And it can act very well and very fast. And what about the OEE concerns? There are 4 of them. First of all, is minerals. What kind of minerals can we use? The second one is implementation. They have a lot of proposals, but how do we make it in practice? The third one is about safety. We have to make it scientifically validated, and at the same time make the environmental and social sound at the same time. The last one is how to use the MRV, which means measurable, reportable, and verification. First of all, for the minerals, in my research, I use olivine. We believe olivine is one of the scalable, cost-effective alkaline minerals for carbon sequestration. And the cost is about $50 per ton in China, compared to $1,000 to $2,000 dollars per ton, compared to the limestone and the blue side. And the availability is not as much as limestone, but it's theoretically this is more than enough in the planet and the supply chain, both for the olivine and limestone and the blue side, is extremely mature. All right, and the second one is about the implementation. So, as a wastewater treatment-based OEE, how to do this in the real world? So, we're doing research about the wastewater-based ocean alkalinity enhancement in the typical wastewater plant, it's gonna have the anaerobic tanks, anoxic tanks, aerobic tanks, and the setting tanks, and at the same time, got in the slot circulation, and we adding. So we're using the olivine as alkaline minerals and the aerobic tanks to enhance the alkalinity of the wastewater and combine them with seawater to see how fast it is, can it work, does it safe, and for the to check out the potential precipitations in the whole process. So we got a set up experiment. It's not complicated. We use seawater, we use the sludge, and we use olivine as the minerals. We got the control both for the wastewater and olivine, and at the same time we got the treatment with the wastewater, the sludge, and olivine. The olivine from 0.1% to 2%. We got a 7 days incubation at 30 degrees, totally dark conditions, and constant shaking to simulation of the aerobic conditions. Is one of the in-lab experiment. So from the result here, I got the point. Yeah. So from this figure, we can easy to find the olivine. The total alkalinity reached to over 10 mmol per kilogram in the wastewater after 7 days incubation. And for the pH, the x-axis is for the total alkalinity, and the y-axis is for the pH. We can find that the square is a non-treated wastewater with olivine. So the pH going very fast, but the T enhancement is very limited. But as a bio-treated wastewater, the effluent pH is below 8.5, and the alkalinity can reach over to 10 millimole per kilometers in the wastewater. And for the the efficiency of the dissolution of the olivine in the bio-treated wastewater, which is about 20 times faster with biologically treated than that of the seawater only. We got this read from the regression of the the delta total alkalinity between the end of the experiment and the beginning of the experiment. So the wastewater-based OE can effectively increase the alkalinity from the experiment, as I mentioned in the previous slide. But can the increased alkalinity in the effluent be stably transferred into the seawater? So we have to avoid the gasification process during the whole implementation. So it's a care about the carbon, the saturated carbon, the stability of the carbon. So we got this calculation. We find it's it can be stable to transfer into the seawater system, and in some kind of the relation with the temperature of the place it applied. So what does this implication? So we using this data to channel this data to the to have the global impact. So we collected the nearshore wastewater treatment plant, which is almost 10,000, and we got the global potential for the wastewater alkalization is about 18 grams CO2 per year, which means if we sell this over $300 per ton CO2, it's gonna be $6 billion per year for this market. It's a huge number, and the particular significance was between in the North Planet from 20 to 60. The China, United States, and the European Union collectively contributing to over 50 of this contribution. This research which was published in Science Advance this year, and we got a talk with some kind of a magazine. What I want to show is about people are very care about this topic. For the potential of the ocean alkalinity enhancement, it depends. It depends on what kind of a proposal we applied. It also depends on the minerals. Just like if we care about the heavy metal in the seawater and in the sediment, it's going to be totally different story. Just like if we in the East China Sea, if the seawater nickel is limited, it's going to be 1.1 to 7 gigaton CO2 are being requested. But if we got the environmental limitation of the nickel in the sediment, it's going to be a different story. So the second one is about the safety. First of all, I want to show you several publications about this area. This paper was published 2 years ago, and is working on the calculus forest and the diatom with alkalinity enhancement. In the abstract, there's a sentence about the growth rate and the elemental ratios of both taxa showed a neutral response to limestone-inspired alkalization. And 1 year ago, there's another publication which is leading by Wolf about the phytoplankton food web structure. They mentioned this did not affect zooplankton populations or their nutritional value as food or for fish. And this year, this work is leading by Yernar. They got an experiment about the pH perturbation. And their result demonstrates that the changes in diatom fitness are almost exclusively driven by carbon dioxide and proton concentrations with bicarbonate. There's no discernible effects. And this result looks like it's not all of them. On the not a positive, is a neutral standard. So my team is focusing on the microbial process. As we all know, for the mineral dissolution, we will lower down the PCO2 in the seawater. It's got the alkalinity enhancement, the pH being elevated, and then coming back to the normal. And the lives will be influenced because it's particles. But at the same time, it also got some nutrients, just like the iron, the silicon, and the nickel, and the heavy metals at the same time. All of them will have a hypothesis to have the impact on the microbes in the oceans, which is play a central role for the carbon, nitrogen, and the sulfate recycling in the seawater. So we're doing this work in the Muping Bay. 3 years ago, we got the surface water and the bottom water with 1% olivine addition, and we find that there is a significant impact on the community structure of the particle-attached bacteria than the free-living bacteria. But if we put them together, there's no significant impact on the bacterial community. And for the particle ones, I think it might be the olivine got the microenvironment that can attach for the particle attached microbes is about the extra attachment site for this. And in this year, we got an experiment about the different season. If we got the OEE deployment in the future, we might have to got this a long time. It can happen in the different season. So we're doing the olivine addition experiment both in the spring and autumn, and both for the eukaryotic microalgae and the bacterial community together. And the microbial response to the olivine addition are differ from the spring and autumn from the phylum level, just like the diatom, and the groups are different from season. For the spring, there is no significant, there's no observed impact on the diatom community on the phosphate limitation condition. But in the autumn, there's a relative abundance of diatom was increased during the later stage of the incubations, and it possibly due to the silicon release. For the summary, more pronounced impact of olivine on diatom in nutrient-rich environment. And we got a network analyze about the environmental parameters and the eukaryotic and the microbes. At the same time, we got a conclusion that the bacterial community is interactively influenced by the olivine and the eukaryotic microalgae. At the same time, it's not only by the olivine itself. And what about in the species level, just like the individuals? Because the mineral dissolution can release the silicon. So we're choosing the silicoccus because in the future, if we deploy the OEE in the very heavy pattern, it's going to be released a lot of silicon in the open ocean. So Silicoccus is one of the typical microbes in the open ocean. So we're doing this experiment. The Silicoccus, the growth rate was increased significantly, and at the same time, the silicon enhancement upgraded the expression of the key genes in the photosynthesis processes. And at the same time, we got the gene knockout and complementation experiment at the same time, and we located two transport of the silicon in the Silicoccus. And we located, search this kind of genes, whether it's widely distributed in the Silicoccus in the gene bank. And at last, we got the why this being the Silicoccus being enhanced by the silicon intake into the cell. So for the heavy metal, it's another environmental challenge. It's a release for potential hazard metals, and it got a consequence because it can structurally alteration on the metal loading, and it also might be reduce absorption capacities, just like the secondary metal release from preloaded sediments and concentrations of the heavy metal may exceed the regulatory threshold. So what can we do? So we proposed manufacturing about the OEE to enhance the ocean alkalinity And at the same time, we're using some kind of a device to trap the heavy metal during the OAE and got the alkaline water being safely out to the environment. So this paper was published in the EST this year too. And I think that is not enough. It's only just a small piece of the safety evaluation of the OAE. And I'm very, it's my great honor to be involved in the OAE PIP, which is leading by Leonard Bacher. This presentation is supposed to be by him. All right. The last one is about the MRV. MRV is very important for all kinds of, the CDR, and which is measurable or monitor and report to the, the third party verifier, and the third party verify the reporter. So the CDR can be certificated. We got the carbon credit. We got the findings. And for the OEE, it's really complicated. Just like the skill identification problem, because there's no single model framework that can accommodate the nearshore, the bay, and the ocean skill, and its background in investigation difficulties. As we all know, we have to know the baseline of the regional. We have to got the baseline of the regional and the global scale, and at the same time, the detection condition limitations, just like the signal to noise ratio is not ideal, and we got the limited of the sensor technology and things like that. So, which all of them are point to the high cost, the low accuracy, and difficult to verify. It's not just because of the OEE itself. It also due to the two steps of the OEE. As we mentioned about the ocean alkalinity enhancement, it's only the first step. First of all, we have to elevate the alkalinity, and the second, we have to wait for the ASC exchange for a long time for the carbon sequestration. So that's why we call this, if we got the scenario 1, it's going to be the 100% of the OEE efficiency. But if we got the scenario 2, which means we only for the alkalinity enhancement, but we do not got the ASC exchange, they're going to be scenario 2. It's going to be 1%. So we have to verify which point is between the 0 and 100% of the OEE. I think this is the key of the MRV. And this figure is from the I borrowed from the frontiers and planetary figures. I really like these pictures. I want to show here to show everybody the difficulties about the MRV of OAE. First of all, for the OAE, the alkalinity is added to the water in the control amount, but at the same time, the accurate measurement of the alkaline input is fundamental to close the box in the verification process. That is at the very beginning. And at the second step, this added alkalinity increases the ocean's buffering capacity. But at the same time, we must ensure the increase in alkalinity is from the OE intervention, is not from the water mass movement from other place and somewhere else. And for the third step, the alkalinity stabilized CO2 in the form of the bicarbonates and carbonates. But at the same time, we also to ensure the inferred CO2 removal is solely from the OE intervention and not from somewhere else, just like the water mass movement. And for the step 4, the ASC exchange, which is a result in the carbon sequestration, carbon removal from the atmosphere CO2. And we also to have to ensure the atmospheric CO2 removal is direct result of the OE interventions this time is not about the natural, challenges, natural change or variation at the same time. For the last one, we have to integrate the measurements to confirm the design chemical changes and prevent the undesirable side effect, just like the secondary precipitation. And we also to ensure isolating the atmospheric CO2 removal from natural variability to certify removal, like the enhanced weathering from the terrestrial, discharge. So all of this makes MRV as OAE is very complicated. So my question is, do we have something, innovation to get this problem solved? So we propose, the mass schematic, which is based on the alkaline factory, and we think which is kind of a method might be got the MRV of the OAE be simple, because the alkalinization and the CO2 absorption and the verification, they've been together, and before it's being discharged in the seawater. We have to confirm that it needs to be some, the power input for this, the mass schematic, but I think it works. And we got the life cycle of the mass schematic. It's very good based on the life cycle assessment of the factory alkalinity enhancement factory ideas, just like the carbon recovery period as low as 1 year within the system optimal communication, and it got a great potential by the the end of this century. It needs not too much land for this for this smart implementation, and compared to other methods, so the advantage of the Mars is easy for the MRV, because only the MRV being easier and being not that costly than the commercial provider can come into this field. So this paper was published this year too. So I think in the future we might use remote sensing, just like the satellite, for the verification. It doesn't make any sense for this kind of method or technology to use for the the carbonate chemistry for the OAE. But we got this try. Do we have any chance to got the to got the alkalinity being reflected by the the satellite data, and we got this we got the regression and the of this between the DIC and the chlorophyll, and got a good result, even though it makes sense, but logically it doesn't make too much sense. But which is also published this year too on GGR Oceans. So a brief summary about the Mars group. It's our group. We working on the environmental impact of the OAE. We got the MRV method of the OAE, and we got the potential of how to implication of the OAE. We got several papers being published, and I think we also have a lot of work to do for the environmental impact. And I just got the email from GP today. We are got a funding proposal about in the future for the high level in the food web in the ocean, and at the same time for the MRV and the potential. So that's I want to talk. Thank you very much for your time and attention.
All right. Thank you so much, Jihua, for a wonderful, comprehensive presentation that's really representing the frontier of this research, OAE. I'm very impressed by the progress you've made over the past few years. I just realized well, as soon as I came online, I saw my good friend Jean-Pierre, Dr. Gattuso, is online with us. Jean-Pierre, would you like to join the panel discussion or give a few remarks to begin with before we invite Professor Meng and Professor Liu to join us?
Yes, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Chuanlun, and thanks to Jihua. Thank you very much for organizing this seminar series. Also, I think that is very useful. I think looking at the list of participants, this seminar series would gain Yernar, we discussed that before, would gain to get more publicity in Europe, in the US, elsewhere.
Right.
It is mostly Chinese people, which is very good. But I think there is a lot of efforts to do to make it more international.
Sure.
I am happy to have heard Jihua's presentation, very comprehensive, and I agree with Chuanlun. The progress is remarkable, and I look forward to visiting you briefly later this month and for longer in January for a workshop that Chuanlun is trying to organize in Xiamen. The topic of the workshop will be the use of coastal infrastructure for that is wastewater treatment plants and desalination plant to perform ocean alkalinity enhancements.
Yeah, and thank you, Jean-Pierre, for strong support in being an enthusiastic advocate for this effort. And we'll invite Dr. Meng and Dr. Liu to join us, along with Yernar, my co-organizer, for the next part of the panel discussion. Jean-Pierre, I want to show you the three people with Jihua leading the group. They are all young, dynamic, full of energy. And you have heard what Jihua has presented. And now we would like to have Yabing Meng, Dr. Meng, and Dr. Zongqing Liu to start with to share with us their findings and experience. So, Dr. Meng, since you are closely working with Jihua under the same program, maybe you can share with us what you have developed or what you can complement what Jihua has presented.
Okay. I'd like to share the work we are currently doing. Okay. So let's look at our the main field site in Xiamen, and this on-site work is a close collaboration with our colleagues at Jimei University. And the key feature here is that the Xinling wastewater treatment plant discharges directly into Yumei Pond. And this transforms the pond into a perfect natural semi-enclosed reactor for our work. So we understand this reactor's process very well. A tidy sluice gate opens twice daily and giving us a predictable 8-hour hydraulic residence time to run our experiments. So this is why we deploy our in situ enclosure for the most laxity controlled tests, and the results are fantastic. And our preliminary experiments confirm that by precisely controlling the alkalinity here, we can successfully reverse this carbon source. And this provides the engineering feasibility of the NTL pathway in a real-world setting. So how do we prove this engineering feasibility? We achieve this by rigorously following a clear scaling up paradigm, going from the lab to microcosm and finally to on-site demonstration. And first in the lab, we optimized the dosing method. We found that intermittent dosing works very well to raise the pH. And next in the microcosm, we verified a key fact: the wastewater effluent is a strong carbon source. And finally, we went on site using hydrodynamic models and field observations. We confirmed our experimental site is a significant atmospheric CO2 source with PCO2 over 840. And this gives us a clear practical need. We have a real-world carbon source that we can now target and reverse with our OAE process. And this scientific and engineering proof is the foundation, but what's even more important than the technology is turning our scientific discoveries into actionable policy. And this is something Professor Zhou and Professor Zhang is actively promoting right now. So based on our scientific evidence, we have a clear policy recommendation. We should moderately raise the lower limit of the pH discharge standards for wastewater effluent. And this doesn't just synergistically mitigate coastal acidification and protect the ecosystem. It's also a powerful and active response to the natural dual carbon strategy. So that summarizes briefly our research progress so far. And thank you.
Zongqing, can you do a quick presentation of what you found in your area?
Thank you, Professor Zhang, for inviting me to join this panel discussion. Today, I want to explain our Jiuzhou Bay project. To explain our project, it's best to start with why Jiuzhou Bay is a perfect location. Jiuzhou Bay is essentially a natural laboratory for this kind of work. It's surrounded by 7 major wastewater treatment plants. These plants release about 1.5 million tons of treated water into the bay every day, presenting a massive opportunity. And Jiuzhou Bay is a semi-enclosed bay and quite shallow, with an average depth of just 7 meters. This means any changes we make are easier to track and measure. Critically, as the key oceanographic institute here, FIO, has decades of historic data for the bay. We have a very clear baseline. We know its natural chemistry, how it changes with the season, and that is, it currently acts as a carbon source to the atmosphere. And our core mission is to use the treated water from these plants as a vehicle for OEE. Our plan is to leverage this huge constant flow. Before the water is discharged, we will carefully dose it with alkaline materials to raise its pH to a target of around 8 to 8.5. Essentially, we are turning this effluent from a simple discharger into an alkalinity supplement for the bay, boosting its natural ability to draw down and store atmosphere CO2. To provide a longer-term slow-release effect, we are also strategically placing olivine, a natural mineral, in the rivers that flow into the bay. And now this work has also highlighted a related issue we are exploring. Current regulation often requires plants to remove nearly all organic carbon, using a lot of energy in the progress. And most of this is stable, harmless carbon that simply getting converted into greenhouse gases and released into the atmosphere during treatment.
Maybe we just take the opportunity to have a question answer discussion along that line. So Zongqing, if you can hear us, just come in when you are able to. So for Jihua and Yabing, and if Zongqing can hear us, I must say, all of you really have done a wonderful job in the field of OAE. Based on what you have presented, I am extremely impressed by the work you've been doing. This is amazing, from basic research to application for a big purpose, for a huge purpose, to help mitigate climate change. So Jihua, with your presentation and leading role in Yabing's local, but also very feasible work, Jihua, you've touched on all aspects: the fundamental science, the application, the MRV. So let's just talk a little bit the MRV, because that's going to be everybody's concern of the application. You presented the challenges of MRV in an open ocean, coastal ocean, but Yabing is doing something local and very well constrained. Maybe we'll have Yabing to tell us a little bit what you have been thinking in the control environment. Will MRV be a feasible, easier to do thing?
Okay, thanks, Professor Zhang. We are building a 3-stage MRV system to tackle it first, and we control the dosage precisely at the front end in a dedicated pool. And second, we track the plume in a real time using drums, buoys, and diffusion models. And third, we verify the net carbon sink at the back end with underwater sensors. So that first part, the control, is already in progress. And for the second part, the tracking, we have already collaborating with the drum array team from SUS TARC. So overall, our goal is clear: to get solid, verifiable data for the carbon market.
Okay, all right. So Zongqing, are you back? Can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Okay, all right. If you want to finish, you can finish, or you can just join the discussion about MRV. Do you have a plan of MRV at your site?
Actually, I want to share our role as being an accelerator for getting OEE adopted globally. Okay?
Okay. All right.
I think the key thing is our institute, FIO, is part of China's Ministry of Natural Resources. We can move beyond just research. We have the unique ability to build a complete real-world model for how to implement OEE on large scale. And we can help turn solid science directly into national standards and a government-backed strategy. And we are not working in isolation. Our institute has a strong established network of long-term international partners. It allows us to share our blueprint, our data, our standards, and our lessons learned transparently and effectively. We can empower other nations to adapt our model, help them accelerate their own OAE efforts. And that's how we connect to global governance. We move the conversation from theory to practice by offering a tangible, state-endorsed case study. And that's all. Thank you.
All right, good. Jihua, can you summarize what you plan to do in terms of scaling up your research? One question is about permitting. When you go to open waters, what kind of would you need a permit to do large scale, let's say OAE, adding minerals in the water? Do you need a permit from your local government, or do you need permitting from national government? I guess this question applies to all three of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. It's very important, Professor Zhang.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hopefully, I eager for that. The certification,
Right.
but I don't have that now. So 2 weeks ago, I got a discussion about how to do with geoengineering, especially on the the marine CDR, the MCDR. So there's some kind of a consensus about one sentence is about it has to be scientifically validated, and at the same time it's environmental and socially sound.
Right.
So what this means, I always thinking about the difference between the the verification between the inland, the terrestrial, and in the ocean. So we always talking about the baseline of the carbon sequestration, but there's a different story. In the terrestrial, the MRV is much easier than in the ocean because the baseline is already been there, just like how much trees we have. We already been there. It's visible. But in the ocean, it's very difficult because the time and the spatial variation and difference we got to use the modeling is not in the regional, just also at the global scale. So what are we going to do? First of all, we have to get a certification from the local government or the international government or some kind of the NGOs. For now, I'm doing my research in the lab scale. I think is necessary and it's good enough for this period. But in the future, we have to go to the open ocean. But the question is, do we have to do the open ocean? We can do the OAE deployment in the coastal area. If it's work, why we go to the open ocean? And at the same time, who will pay the carbon credit in the future if we're doing this in the open ocean? I think it's not just science; it's also for the the policymaker and some people who want involved in this territory. So that's what I think now.
All right, thank you so much, Jihua. That's very thoughtful. And now, Yernar, this is your expertise in terms of governance and policy. Can you share with us your view on MRV for OAE?
Thank you, Professor Zhang. MRV is crucial as it transforms scientific experiments into credible carbon credits. Currently, MRV is for ocean alkalinity enhancement is undergoing a purposeful and collaborative transition. We are moving from theoretical to practical. MRV existed in models in lab experiments for years, but pioneering field work like Project Vesta's coastal weathering or planetary technologies controlled settings is testing these models in the real world. The core challenge is detecting a small, deliberate change in ocean chemistry against the vast dynamic background of the sea. We need to measure the added alkalinity and verify that it leads to durable CO₂ drawdown without adverse environmental effects. Organizations like Isometric and Ocean Visions are playing a pivotal role in structuring this new field. Ocean Visions acts as a central convener, creating a shared playbook with their OAE roadmap and work with the Carbon to Sea initiative. They bring together academia, commercial developers, and policymakers to define key research priorities and establishing a common language for robust monitoring and verification. Isometric builds the marketplace by applying a rigorous science-first standards to determine determine the evidence required to verify and a ton of carbon removed. setting a high bar and forcing discipline from the beginning. So what is the current state? Rapid prototyping of OIE system and MRV protocols is underway. We are testing tools like direct measurements, biological sensors, stabilizer top tracers, and ocean models to find the most reliable and cost-effective combination. The path forward is clear. Continue funding and conducting controlled field trials, be transparent with data, and support international standards for ocean management. MRV for ocean alkalinity enhancement is no longer aspirational. It's active, collaborative process. The scientific community is building the foundation while organizations like Ocean Visions and Isometric are creating frameworks. Our task is to build on this foundation with scientific integrity, ensuring safe, effective, and credible scaling of OAE. And I am happy to announce that Global One's Code of Conduct for Research is now being considered by Ocean Land Atmosphere Research Scientific Journal for publication. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Thank you all for this wonderful presentation seminar. Like Jean-Pierre commented, our goal is to let the Global One's voice heard by the global community. And thank you everybody for contributing to raising voice toward the global community. So with that, I apologize for being late again, but this recording will be everlasting. So once again, thank you for joining this seminar. Thank you so much.